Hello friends. Now in this presentation, we are going to discuss about the environmental aspects and impacts and environmental policy. Actually, we have discussed these concepts or the points in the ISO 14001, but still as it is a part of a particular syllabus, we have to discuss it in a very fast way. So those who are not aware about these aspects and impacts and what exactly the policy contents are, with examples for those students, I'm going to discuss about these environmental aspects and impacts. So what exactly the environmental aspect is? So as far as the ISO 14001-2015 is concerned, it is defined as the element of an organization's activities or products or services that interacts or can interact with the environment. So whatever the elements which are connected through the organization through different platform like activities, products or services, so that parameters or the elements are called as environmental aspects. An environmental aspect is the way your activity, service or product impacts the environment. So what exactly the way of your activity is? What are the services are there? What exactly the product may impact on the environment? So all these parameters or elements are called as environmental aspects. So it can cause environmental impacts. So environmental impacts decides on the basis of environmental aspects. A significant environmental aspect is one that has or can have one or more significant environmental impacts. So sometimes a boiler activity may be an environmental aspect, and due to the boiler activity, the air emission issues or the thermal pollution or the carbon contents or the biobriquette activities, etc., are the different environmental impacts. So due to one of the environmental aspect, there may be more than one environmental impacts. So we have to identify, we have to manage these environmental aspects so that indirectly we are going to reduce, eliminate or avoid the environmental impacts. What is environmental impact? It is a change to the environment. So that may be a positive change, that may be a negative change. So negative change, normally we call it as adverse impact on the environment. And positive change, we normally call it as a beneficial environmental impact. So sometimes the positive changes or impacts are also there, and many times the adverse impacts are also there. So in most of the anthropogenic activities or the different activities under these development activities, normally there are negative environmental impacts. That is called as adverse environmental impacts. So that impacts may be wholly or partially resulting from an organization environmental aspects. So sometimes that impacts may be a normal one, sometimes that may impact totally on the organization or for that particular department, for that particular activity. So that depend on the activity itself. So these are the basics of environmental aspects and impacts. Now, how to identify the environmental aspects? Because we have to identify first what exactly the environmental aspects are there in our organization, and then we have to analyze that, then we have to try to reduce these environmental aspects, because the main objective is to control the environmental impacts or to reduce the environmental impacts or to avoid the environmental impacts. So for that purpose, the first step is to identify the environmental aspects. So environmental aspect can be related to the organization's activity, service or product. So we have already discussed in the basic definition of these environmental aspects. So we have to identify, we must know about the activities which are involved under these organizations. So some organizations may focus on the manufacturing process as a production process. Sometimes some organizations are only packaging industries. Some organization may be a formulation industry, pharmaceutical industries, chemical industries, plastic industry, glass industry, etc. So depending on the type of activity, depending on the type of process, we have to identify the different activities which are involved under these organizations and which may be identified as the environmental aspects. Sometimes in the organizations, there is a service parameter or the service element, which may include the maintenance activity. So that may be a electrical maintenance, that may be a mechanical maintenance, that may be another type of maintenance programs. That may be a preventive maintenance, that may be a breakdown maintenance, that may be online maintenance, etc. So all these activities or similar activities are covered under the service parameter or the service element. So that is the simple example like boiler. So for the boiler, there are various activities involved, various services involved on the regular basis. And product is the final product which organization produces. So while finalizing this product also, there may be some environmental aspects. So that may be a packaging type of material, that may be a packaging type of process or the procedure or the public or the machines involved under this product finalization. So depending on the activities, depending on the services, depending on the product, we can identify the environmental aspects in the respective organizations. So organization should establish a procedure to identify environmental aspects of each activity within their scope. Aspect impact register can be used to list out all environmental aspects and which should be updated time to time. So if you maintain the aspect impact register, especially for the medium to large scale industry, which is useful because sometimes we forgot the particular environmental aspects which is already identified. So to control that environmental impact, we have to list out these environmental aspects in the aspect impact registers. So aspect can be direct, that can be indirect. So sometimes the emissions, sometimes the pollution are the direct environmental aspects which are related to the activities which organization can control. So we can control these air pollution, we can control this land pollution, we can control the water pollution, etc. So if we are going to control or we can control these pollution type, then the direct environmental aspects are there. If we can't control the environmental aspects, then it is called as indirect environmental aspects. So sometimes if the contract or subcontractor may decide some of the activities, and if they are not going to follow the standard operating procedures, then that can be called it as indirect environmental aspects. So good practice is to identify aspect, is to involve a cross-functional area. A cross-functional team from key areas of the operations. So for example, if the production team is going to verify or identify the different environmental aspects in the utility department, and if the utility team is going to identify the environmental aspects in the purchase department or in the packaging department, likewise. So if the cross-functional teams are there, then it is better to have the different list of environmental aspects. The identification of environmental aspects often considers the emission to air, release to water and land, use of raw material, waste and natural resources, impacts on biodiversity, etc. Then, after identification of these environmental aspects, after writing down the different list of the environmental aspects in the environment aspect register, we have to evaluate these environmental aspects. So what are the levels, how to control that, what are the solutions, etc., should be considered under this evaluation policy. The purpose of the evaluation of environmental aspect is focusing on what matters the most. So what exactly the significant environmental aspects are there? So that is the meaning of what matters the most. So most severe or high level which environmental aspects are there in the organization, which may adversely impact on the environmental impacts, or it can be considered as environmental impact, that parameter or that environmental aspect should be considered as a significant environmental aspect. So you don't need to manage all environmental aspects. We have to categorize these environmental aspects, and then we are going to focus only on the significant environmental aspect first. And if that is satisfied, then we can go for all the environmental aspects. Then depending on the type, nature and complexity of an organization, there are many techniques available for conducting and an evaluation to determine the significance of environmental aspect. In assessing the significance, you should consider the different parameters like the potential to cause environmental harm, what exactly the potential is there, which can cause the environmental harm, size and frequency of the aspect, then importance to the stakeholders of the organization, requirements of relevant environmental legislations, and then each organization must establish its own criteria for significance based on the systematic review of its environmental aspects and their actual and potential impacts, right? So we have to consider all these assessing parameters. We have to consider all these different levels of the environmental aspects. So that may be significant, that may be moderate, that may be not significant, etc. And then after evaluation, we have to manage this significant environmental aspect first. So how to manage this significant environmental aspects? So every significant aspect should be brought under control by establishing one or more of the following controls. So that may be a responsible person, a training plan, procedure, checklist, or maintenance schedule. Level of control should be appropriate to the nature and risk of the significant aspect. Each of the above is a part of the everybody work routine. So all these identification, analyzing different assessment parameters and managing the significant environmental aspect should be a routine work. Then and then only that culture is developed, and then we can control these environmental aspects. An EMS, environment management system, can often be more complicated than the needed. The key to any effective EMS is getting the environmental aspects right at the very beginning. And if you start early to control all these environmental aspects, then it is become easier at the end to control each and every significant environment aspects. Identifying the environmental aspects properly will not only save your time, but also enable you to achieve great benefits with your EMS once it is implemented. So after identifying, analyzing, and managing all these significant environmental aspects, all these environment management system gets its benefits. So these are some of the examples of aspects and impacts. So the activity or the service is car washing. That is the simple example. So while car washing, the environmental aspect may be a cleaning agent in wastewater. So whatever the cleaning agent is used, that is merged into the wastewater after washing the car, and the environmental impact is potential water pollutions. So before car washing, the water may have some different characteristics, and after car washing, whatever the cleaning agent you have used for this washing the car, that is added into that water, and that becomes a polluted water. So depending on that cleaning agent again, the type and the level of water pollution can be identified. So that is the environmental impact. That is called as adverse environmental impact because it is a negative impact. Then another is using water. So we are going to use this water for car washing purpose. This is not a essential or the priority for the purpose where the water is available. So impact to the natural resources. That is the environmental impact. Then heating may be the activity or service. So that environmental aspect is emissions from boiler. And environmental impact is air pollution, right? So when you are going to conduct the different heating activities, the aspect of the environment is emission from the boiler. So that may be losses from the boiler, because in the boiler water is going to heat, and after heating the water, the steam is going to generate. So that may be a wet steam, dry steam, superheated steam, etc. So all these streams are going to utilize by the utility department, and that can be sent to the various department for the various purposes. But due to this, the air pollution may be a issue, and thermal pollution may be a issue due to this heating activity. So if the air pollution is the issue because we are using fossil fuels to heat that water, we are going to combust or burn these fossil fuels, like that may be a solid, that may be a coal, that may be a biobriquettes, that may be agricultural waste, that may be in forms of liquids like oils, etc. Sometimes we are also using the gases. So whatever the fossil fuels we are using, if that is going to burn, that is going to oxidize, then obviously there may be a chances of producing a different types of gases or a mixture of gases. So these are nothing but the hydrocarbons. That is why hydrogen is going to convert into water. Carbon is going to convert into carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide. If sulfur contents are there in the fossil fuel, then sulfur dioxide, sulfur trioxide. Nitrogen is there in the air. That is why nitrogen dioxide, nitrogen trioxide, etc. So SOx, NOx, and carbon derivatives may be the issue as a air pollution. Then storage of fuel in above or underground tank. So if it is the need to store that fuel underground, store the fuel in the underground tank or in the above ground tank, but there are chances of potential or leakage. So if while loading or unloading, if the SOP is not followed, then there may be a chances of spillage. And sometimes if the life of that particular tank is more, or there may be a corrosion issue, then there may be a chances of leakage. So this is the environmental aspect, and the impact on the environment may be a contamination of soil and groundwater due to this particular fuel, whatever may be, it may be used by that organizations. So these are some of the simple examples of the aspect and impact. You can identify your own environmental aspect in your organizations. Now, the second concept is environmental policy. So generally, the candidates who are working in the organizations, normally you can find out this environmental policy. Generally, that may be an environmental health policy, or that may be a EHS policy. So depending on the organization's requirement, organization's decisions, they may form the different policies, or they may form a combined policy. So that may focus on the environment, health, and safety. So that is also a legal requirement. That is also a standard requirement. So if you refer the Maharashtra Factory Rule 1963, then in the rule number 73L, so the requirement of policy and the guidelines are given. If you refer the ISO 14000 standards, then in that also the environment policy is an essential parameter. So what exactly this environmental policy is? So it is a statement about an organization's environmental position and values. So this policy, this statement gives you the idea regarding the organization's environmental position, what exactly the organization is going to do, what exactly the current situation is, and what are their values related to the environment. So that is covered under the environmental policy. And in the ISO 14000 standard, it is clearly mentioned that environmental policy is the organization's overall environmental performance intentions and directions formally expressed by top management. Because this policy and policy management is the authority of the top management always. So top management is going to decide about these policy contents, what exactly the policy is, and what should do after a particular year or 5 year or 10 year. So on the basis of that, they are going to decide the different contents. So what are the benefits of this developing an environmental policies? So an organization can publicly advertise that it has considered its environmental performance and has adopted best practice or is working towards improving its environmental performance. So we can publicly advertise regarding our organizations that we are caring about the organizations, we are controlling the different pollution aspects, we are reducing the different pollutants, we are trying to adopt the eco-friendly products, try to adopt the different eco-friendly processes or the procedures which are going to impact in a low level on the environment. Like that, we can easily advertise regarding our organization in the public through this environmental policy. So environmental policy is the public document. Nowadays, it is a practice to upload these environmental policies on the organization's website. Environmental policy can advertise the environmental status and environmental objectives of the organizations to all stakeholders. The current and potential clients can read the statement and are able to determine whether they would like to continue or start business with the organizations. It also can provide clear direction to all stakeholders about the organization's environmental values. So this policy can gives you the direction to all the stakeholders so that the consumer, the contractor, subcontractor, etc. can understand what exactly the environmental performance of this organization is and what they are going to do in the future. So that may be a particular clear direction to all the stakeholders. Then who should develop an environmental policy? So if the policy advantages are there, if there is a requirement from the standards or the legal, then we have to develop that environmental policy. So generally, the persons who are knowing about the environment aspects, impacts, the environmental policies of central government, state government, what exactly the future strategies of the central or state government or even at the international level, and then what exactly the parameters to control in our organizations, that persons only can develop this environmental policy. So generally, a senior manager or managing team should approve the environmental policy but not necessarily directly responsible for developing the policy. So the expert who is going to observe, going to expertise in this environmental field, that person only is going to develop this policy, and senior manager and managing team can verify, observe, can gives us the corrections or modifications in that policy, and then they can finalize the environmental policy for that organizations. So they should appoint someone talented, familiar with the organizations, and who has the ability of writing interesting factual statements. So factual statement is very essential and important, because sometimes the fictitious statements are used, the hypothetical or the theoretical statements are used, which may not be possible in that organizations in near future. So that should be avoided. So whatever the facts are there, whatever the possibilities are, whatever the feasibility is there, on that parameters only that statement should be finalized. So there are already too many meaningless, unrealistic and dry environmental policies out there. So choose someone which can inspire and communicate the true environmental policy of the organizations. So when an organization doesn't have any environmental programs to describe, then perhaps they could develop them or develop an environmental management system. So normally the small scale industries and sometimes some medium scale industries are not concerned about this environment management system. So for them, actually, that is a golden chance to start or to develop these EMS policies. And under that, we have to develop the environmental policy. So what exactly the procedure for maintaining this environmental policy? So if you finalize that contents, if you approve that environmental policy, then how to maintain that? So environmental policies should be regularly be reviewed when there has been change or change is planned, or when there has been a significant performance issue related to the environment, then the environmental policy should be revised. So if there is a major issue related to the air, maybe related to the water, maybe related to the land, maybe related to the hazardous waste, maybe related to the solid waste, medical waste, whatever it may be. So if there is a major issue related to the particular environmental conditions, related to the procedure, related to the technology, related to the process, then we have to revise that environmental policy. Otherwise, we have to always review that environmental policy parameters, the contents, and accordingly, we have to act or follow that environmental guidelines. Then what should be included in an environment policy? So that is nothing but the contents of the environmental policy. So these are the general guidelines. So the contents may be different from the different organizations' management perspective. So an environmental policy must be appropriate to the organization, include a commitment for continual improvement and prevention of pollution, include a commitment to comply to relevant legal and other requirements, provide the framework for setting and reviewing environmental objectives and targets. And these are the different contents, and some contents may be addition or some guidelines can be added as per as the organization's management or the top management perspectives there. So also consideration should be given to the reader's expectations, because we are considering these aspects from the top management or organization's point of view. But when the third person is going to read this environmental policy, so from that customer point of view, that you should add some of the points, or you should consider the following points, like what the organization does and how it does. It understands whether the organization is greener or browner than the similar organizations. So in the future, whether you are going to adopt the greener technologies, greener production processes, eco-friendly products, or renewable energy sources, etc. So whatever you are going to do, that should be understood by the third person or the customer. Then understand whether the organization present a direct environmental risk to the operations. So whether you are adopting the or absorbing or accepting the environmental risks to their operation or not. Understand whether the organization present a risk to the public perceptions. So you have to also consider a public risk, a public perception. Understand whether the organization present an environmental risk by not understanding and not complying with the legal and other requirements. So we have already discussed. So that there may be a state rule, that may be a central rule, there are central government act, etc., or some standards are there. So if there are requirements are there, whether you are going to follow all these requirements, whether you are going to comply all these requirements or not, that should be also reflect in that particular environmental policy. Understand whether the organization has any environmental programs to their reduce environmental impact and improve their environmental performance. So whether you are going to shift from the coal to biobriquette or coal to agricultural waste type of procedures, whether you are going to shift from the manual operations to the automatic or robotics type of operations, whether you are going to replace the manual painting operations by robot operations likewise. So whether you are going to reduce the environmental impacts through various procedures or the environmental programs or not. If a particular policy is fixed, if you are going to purchase a particular technology, or you are going to change some technology or procedure, or you are going to adopt eco-friendly products, you are going to adopt renewable energy sources in the future, then definitely you can mention that point in your environmental policy. So these are the points related to the environmental policy. And this is the example of the environmental policy. So this is Kirloskar Korokat Private Limited. So one of the Kirloskar Group company, and these are the different contents of this environment, health and safety policy. Now it is EHS policy. So clearly they have mentioned that we at Kirloskar Korokat Private Limited, manufacturers, suppliers and applicators of wide range of anti-corrosion products are committed to protect the environmental by prevention, reduction and the control of pollution. So clearly the first point is they are going to prevent, reduce and control the pollution. The prevent injury and occupational diseases, then comply with all applicable legal and other requirements which are related to its environmental aspects and occupational health aspects hazards. Then we will continually improve our EHS performance by focusing on that is nothing but the future target. So that is conservation of natural resources like land, water, air, energy and raw material. Follow principles of good waste management like refuse, reduce, reform, recycle and reuse of waste and its proper disposal. Then promotion of green procurement practices as appropriate. Then identification of health and safety hazards and assessment related risks to eliminate, reduce, isolate and control the risk to reduce incidents. Then integrating EHS procedures into operations and promoting the participation of employees in EHS related activities. Then creating awareness of EHS policy among all the employees and those working for us through the multiple ways of communication, and setting and reviewing EHS objective periodically to ensure the achievement. So this EHS policy shall be made available to all interested parties as appropriate, and then the signing authority of that organization, that is from the top management. Now here it is the chairman, and that particular issue number, date of affirmation and date of review is also mentioned with all the details of that company. So this is a simple example of the EHS policy. So there may be some other examples, like this is one of the guideline or the policy from the Cummins. So there may be contents like purpose, scope, references, definitions, then policy statements and statement of work and some other contents. So depending on your organizations, you can decide your own contents, because you are the expert only whether what exactly the activities are going on, what exactly the services are there, what exactly the products are there, and what are the procedures, what exactly the environmental aspects, how to control these environmental aspects, then how to manage the environmental impacts, and then how to grab or absorb the good technology, which may be a green technology, some green manufacturing process, some renewable energy sources, or that may be a part of 7R principle, etc. So this is all about the environmental aspects and impacts and the environmental policy. Thank you.